You can yell.
All right, sounds good. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. I can do this, I'm not sick yet. Perfect. All right, so what is the Triton Method? The Triton Method...
Can you cut the lights also?
I don't know how to do it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I don't know. Ooh, there we go.
Much better.
Awesome. So the Triton Method utilizes ICP testing and strong filtration with an emphasis on refugiums to mimic the parameters of natural seawater, and almost greatly reduces the amount of water changes we need to do to kind of replenish nutrients as well as export them. I've eliminated it in a lot of my tanks. I'll kind of share that process with you guys.
He's fine with that.
I'm great without the mic.
You want the mic?
No.
No.
Alright, so how to set up your aquarium for Triton. How many people have sumps? How many people have space for refugium in your sump? Or you're currently running it? Awesome. So if you have a sump, you're halfway there. That's great. So Triton recommends that the refugium be 10 to 20% of your total display volume. And if your refugium comes first, that's great. That's what they want. So when water goes down, it goes through your refugium, or socks first, refugium, then your skimmer. If you're running a sulfur denitrate, I don't know if anybody still does that besides me, and then up through your return pump. If your refugium is 20% larger than your display, you kind of need some more flow in there because the algae likes to tumble and it just keeps everything kind of in suspension. So I can't stress this enough. With sizing a protein skimmer, you want to size it to your total biological load. So, for instance, like manufacturers will be like, oh, you know, the eShop's S120. I know it's an older skimmer, but it's the only one I've like really memorized. Is sized for like 120 gallons. With a heavy bioload, it really only does 60. So you really want to make sure that your skimmer is rated for your whole system if you're running Triton. Then also your turnover rate should be 10 times the display volume. So here's some examples of some sumps that are on the market currently that are set up right for Triton. You can convert your sump or you can upgrade and get one of these puppies. The trigger one is great. It's pretty inexpensive along the lines of like plug and play sumps. But if you want something that looks like something out of a science fiction film, the Bashy Smart Series sump's great. The other plus about that sump is if you don't want to run Triton, you can remove the baffle wall and then you have a regular sump that you can run, which is pretty cool. I also like it too because it comes in a bunch of different colors, and I'm all about colors. All right, so testing and dosing. So ICP testing is where you take a couple samples of your water and you mail it out to Triton Labs. So ICP testing is a form of flame testing. So they run your water through this big machine. I'm gonna really kind of dumb this down for me and everybody else too, right? I like things that are easy. So you run water through the machine, it atomizes your water, and then they can tell you this is how many sodium atoms are in there, this is how many calcium atoms are in there, this is how many phosphorus, phosphate, the whole 9 yards. And they give you a range, and they're going off what natural seawater is. So it's kind of cool to see where your trace elements are at, because we all buy these like little bottles that say like, you know, all the trace elements you'll ever need, but how do you really know what's in there? And then it can also help you see issues before they arise. So I'm not proud of this. I sent off a test the other week, and I couldn't figure out. I was getting a little hair algae in one of my tanks. I was like, all right, what am I doing wrong? Sent off the Triton test, came back, really, really high in phosphates and phosphorus. Okay, fine. Come to find out, I had not refilled the auto feeder, so it was just dosing that that nice powder stuff that accumulates in the bottom, and that was causing my phosphorus to go through the roof. NDOC testing is kind of a new product that Triton's come out with. and it tests nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus. So if you're dosing vodka or a carbon source, it's a way that you can calculate your dosing out from what just the form kind of says for vodka dosing. You can calculate total alkalinity, which is a little bit more accurate than carbonate hardness. And you can also look at bacterial stability because it'll show you how much nitrogen is in your aquarium, and then if you do it over time, you can see how much is consumed, and you can calculate off that how much nitrifying bacteria you have, and some other ones. So for dosing, if you're running the refugium, your skimmer, the whole 9 yards, you use the Core 7. It's a complete package of macros and micros. It's a 4-part dosing system. The cool thing is you can mix 3A and 3B together, so you only need 3 containers. I'm all about saving space, so that's usually what I do. And then they do recommend using it with a dosing pump. You can run it without one, but you have to dose it every day, and it's a real big pain to get under your tank and suck up a bunch of these little like syringes and squirt. So if you're like, well, I really want to use Triton, but I don't have space for a refugium, and I can't fit an algae reactor under my tank, you can use their other methods. So it's the Core 7, but they take out some of the elements that are found in the Core 7 because they have like refugium additives in there that'll help the refugium flourish. So they take that out and they just recommend you get really strong filtration, so like a big skimmer or a big bio bed or whatnot, and you can run this. I've had pretty good results with this too. So my company's experience with this, with the Triton method is we run every tank, every one of our service clients runs either a modified version or a full Triton method. And we've seen great stability and really wonderful growth. And it's really helped us catch some issues, like the phosphorus was one. Another one I had an intern with me and he accidentally knocked a hose clamp into the sump, and I was having some bleaching, did a Triton test, found out there was tin in the water, so down there with a flashlight and found a hose clamp that got left. So that was fun. So I mentioned a modified Triton method. I'm a big proponent of calcium reactors. So on usually our larger tanks, everybody gets one. So you can run, Triton has this calcium reactor media, it's just really high purity stuff. You can also use Reborn as well. That's what I run most of the time until they came out with this. And then if your trace elements are kind of off, you can use Infusion, which is like a trace element supplement. And I know I said before, like we buy these bottles of trace elements, we don't know what's in there. When you do your ICP test, Triton, you can change out your GFO. I added GFO because I forgot that I was running it, so oops. So this is probably the largest reef tank that my company takes care of. It's a 700-gallon peninsula. In this picture, it's about a year, 2 months old, and we have never done a water change on this tank. We have run full Triton, and it is doing well. So pretty much, I like pictures, so there's a few pictures in here. So we've got Paleothora grandis, and then a close-up of some, I guess it's Acan microbusa now, not Lorewensis, but somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. These all started out, actually these were frags from this show that we added a year ago. So everything really grew and we're pretty happy with it. This started as a 1-inch frag of Naughty Spiral, and now it's probably the size of a dinner plate now. In this picture it's 6, it's like a tea saucer. This pink Cadillac started out as like a 3/4 inch frag, and that was at the year mark, and same thing with this Russian Rampage. So it works for a wide variety of corals. It works for kind of like softies, SPS. So this is another tank that's run on Triton. This is more of a Nano kind of setup. So this is my employee George runs it at his house. He has a 39-gallon CAD light, with an E-Shops, what is it, an R75 some? Right. And he has a mixed reef, and he manually doses Triton, so he doesn't run the dosing pump, and he hasn't done a water change in 7 months. And he's getting great color, and actually a lot of these squirrels too came from this show last year, so the growth's been pretty good. So we run Triton Method in a lot of our farm tanks too, which has helped us greatly reduce our overhead costs. Buying salt is not a fun activity. I really don't like it because it gets expensive. So it's allowed us to keep our prices on our coral low because we don't have to factor in our overhead running costs. And we've got some pretty good growth rates. So stability is what I found over the years is kind of key. I really don't chase numbers anymore as long as it's kind of level and it's in that kind of like accepted range. I call it good. And here's just some pictures. So that is a Bowser frag that we bought here that was one polyp, and I took this picture 6 months ago and it's thriving. And here's a Montipora polowensis that we got that was probably the size of a dime, and now it's growing on a rock. And some more coral pictures because everybody likes eye candy, right? So we've got an acan, a fobia, and then some zoes. And last one, I promise. It works out on anemones too. George has a bunch of little rainbows and a few black widows in his tank, and they're splitting like mad. So it's been kind of a game changer for my business. All right, that's my spiel. Anybody have any questions? It's kind of a lot.
Can you still do water changes, or is it recommended not?
You can definitely still do them. So I know George does them. Like if you get like a little algae, you get some diatoms or whatnot, and you just want to like siphon them out, you can totally do that. You can still do the big ones, but kind of feel like it's diluting out some of the problem, but it can't hurt.
In the beginning, you mentioned filter socks. I thought just Triton Method is no filter socks.
So technically you should run filter socks, but I mean it's just mechanical, right? So it's just going to take out the particulates. The nutrient like dissolved nitrate is still going to be in the water, and that's what your algae is really going to be taking up. Same thing with phosphates. So
that doesn't turn into Triton other?
No, you can still run the full. As long as you're running that big refugium, you're fine. Now, the roller mat was a great invention. I run that right before it takes out all the crap, and then it still goes through. Okay, cool. What else? Oh, good. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. I guess let's all go eat lunch or buy more coral.